Bad Larry.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Bad Larry Kingdom. I'm your host, Bad Larry. Issue number 23 of The Amazing Spider-Man was published in April 1965, written by Stan Lee and drawn by Steve Ditko. This cover by Ditko is one of his better pieces. Spider-Man looks less cartoony, and his pose is perfectly executed. I don't know if Ditko used references or not, but this is one of my favorite covers so far in this run. And what do we expect in this issue? Spider-Man fighting some gangsters and the Green Goblin. Okay. This is what I miss in modern comics. Stan Lee is talking directly to us, the reader, telling us how fun and amazing this issue is going to be. The shameless glazing is endearing, and it sets the tone that the book is going to be fun, not so serious. I think the writers now think they're writing Game of Thrones or something like that, and not a comic book the way they should take it so seriously. Anyway, the Green Goblin decides he wants to take over the mob, a gang, because why not? They don't seem to be thrilled by the idea, though. Stan loves his alliterations. Of course, the main gang member is named Lucky Lobo. It's amazing Green Goblin's look has remained relatively the same over all these years. One thing that stood out to me in this issue, though, was the size of Goblin's ears. I mean, look at those things, massive. For reference, this is what I remember from watching the Spider-Man cartoon. The ears are big, sure, but not like in the comic. And then, of course, the yellow eyes in the cartoon. And here in the comic, he has no yellow eyes. The gangster's attack on Green Goblin was pathetic at best. Why try and punch a dude who's floating around on a jet-powered hovercraft and can zappity zap you with his magic finger? It is kind of funny. Green Goblin bounces and makes sure to not hurt any goons because, them goons are sometimes hard to come by. One thing I will say about these gangsters, they don't tell the cops nothing for now. Settle the problems themselves. That's the way. Lucky Lobo doesn't like the idea of being replaced as head of the gang by Green Goblin, but what can he really do? Wow, the Green Goblin was trying to be the crime kingpin controlling all the mobs in New York before the actual kingpin ever existed. This dude is for real. It is funny to think of Peter Parker living in a cute little pink house. I once lived in a pink house as a little kid. They used to be everywhere, pink houses. I like seeing Peter with the messy hair. It shows that he puts in a lot of effort to create his normal walking around town, going to school look with the styled hair. I think it's kind of risky just trying to dry his spider suit out in the open in the attic, though. Sure, old Bones Aunt May is unlikely to go up there and see it, but she still could. And then what's he gonna say? Ah, the hurdles of homemade costumes. They dry slowly, so Peter decides to go out to the library without it. Not a good idea. You can never predict when Spider-Man will be needed. You need that costume at all times. Also, let's acknowledge that Peter Parker has some real style. His hair is cool. He has his collar popped. He's got the white jacket. The man has aura. Peter Parker gets a bad rap for being a nerd, but he was never a nerd. He's a cool guy who's just really smart as well. I mean, look at this guy. He looks like Elvis from Viva Las Vegas. Peter reads about the Green Goblin raiding the gangsters and then wants to check on his girl Betty at the Daily Bugle, but she's nowhere to be found. Peter finds a letter from Betty's fake boyfriend from Europe, but does the right thing and not reads it. Peter has that honor code to stick to. Then Peter sees a familiar face talking with old Jameson. Jameson has decided to hire back this criminal, Frederick Foswell, aka the Big Man. Check out The Amazing Spider-Man issue number 10 on my playlist to check out that dude's backstory. But it's all a ploy with Jameson. He doesn't care about this dude Foswell. He just thinks he'll get some kudo points with the public as a good guy. Well, we all know Jameson is a turd. Jameson is yapping at Peter like he does, and then Peter finally catches up with Betty. Their relationship is so, well, it feels like they're so distant. There isn't or doesn't seem to be any chemistry. There's an awkwardness there that just shouldn't be in their communication with each other. And Betty doesn't tell Peter about her secret love letter. Does she have or should she have? I don't know. Dude is way out in Europe. It's a private letter. Peter and Betty aren't married or anything. What y'all think? Should Betty have told Peter about the letter? Peter leaves in a tuff. Both he and Betty are just not ever in the same wavelength. Betty is either a dingbat or she is capped to herself, saying she should have told Peter about the letter when Peter's long gone by that time. She is lying to herself. She just wants options. Peter should not be so in his feelings about it anyway. It's not like Betty can really do anything with Ned over in Europe, so there's no need for Peter to get all in a tizzy. We see the former big man Foswell chatting up some rough type individual. You think old Foswell has cleaned up his act, or is he back in the crime game? Peter Parker is kind of dumb for being such a smart kid. Leaving his costume at home is a fail. Now he can't follow Foswell? Opportunity missed. Nothing I despise more than a rat, a dirty, stinking, two-faced, double-dealing, backstabbing rat. Loyalty is a must, but this dude turns big rat, giving Green Goblin all the financials of Lucky Lobo's operation. That kind of betrayal usually gets someone a long nap with the fishes, if you know what I mean. At some fancy club, Jameson is basking in the glaze from these old fogies praising him for hiring back Foswell like Jameson is Mother Teresa or something. Foswell shows up to the party with the same list that was given to Green Goblin. So, how did Foswell get it? Clearly, he is in cahoots with Green Goblin. Anyway, now that Jameson has the dirt on Lucky Lobo's finances, Lobo's empire is about to crash if Jameson prints this info to the public, leaving Green Goblin with no competition to take over the gang. Green Goblin is proving he is more strategic than I remember. I usually thought of Green Goblin as a bit of a wild card, just causing havoc without a plan, just tossing pumpkin bombs around willy-nilly and having a good old time being the villain. But no, this plan took a lot of effort, lots of moving parts, and they're all going Green Goblin's way. Jameson is all full of himself as well. Boils my blood seeing Jameson all cheesed up. Man, I don't like that guy. Finally, the spider suit is dry and Spider-Man can get back into the action. Time to find the baddies and web them up. A couple of interesting points of interest in these panels. First off, the way Steve Ditko drew Spider-Man effortlessly chilling on the wall, holding on with just his fingertips. This little detail shows the effortless power of Spider-Man's unconscious spider powers. So we highlight the spider side, and then the next frame we highlight the human side with Peter wanting those juicy, juicy pics to get the cash. In just 2 frames, Spider-Man's exposition was further developed. The third frame shows the type of superhero Spider-Man is. He is allowing the cops to take first crack at the criminals, but when the cops need that helping hand, well, that's when Spider-Man jumps in for the tag team. With older comics, you get older pop culture references. Spider-Man makes a joke about the city getting him instead of Elliot Ness, who was a famous lawman who brought down Al Capone, and he was depicted by Kevin Costner in the movie The Untouchables from 1987. This original version of Green Goblin reminds me a lot of the Joker from the Dark Knight movies. He's crazy for sure, but also has these master plans that show that he's not only evil, but he's smart, not just crazy. I feel as if there's an art mistake on this frame. While the upside down pose is cool, what exactly is Spider-Man's right foot supposed to be against? Maybe Steve Ditko drew all of these poses all at once and just superimposed them on a background, which makes sense on why the right foot is set up against just the air. Either way, Spider-Man just noticed that Green Goblin helped the cops, but he wonders why and decides to follow him. But Spider-Man hasn't reached legendary sneak level yet, and Green Goblin gets a little glimpse of Spider-Man, quickly comes up with the plan to have Spider-Man and Lucky Lobo take each other out. See, Green Goblin's a smart cookie. Lucky Lobo knows the streets. He knows his empire's on the knife's edge, which is why he's sweating bullets. By the way, Green Goblin enters the chat is kind of tough. He's so chill, tossing pumpkin bombs to the left and right. That glider has some sort of amazing agility. Green Goblin actually helped out Spider Man take the edge. Even Steven Spider Man still has the super advantage, but with all this smoke, the gangsters have no chance. Why did Spider Man wait until the smoke dispersed? No matter, sometimes Spider Man likes a little scuffle. Most of his fights are just too easy for him anyway. And why has Green Goblin got that peepin' creepin' mode on with that big ass grin? And Stan knows just when we need some action. The speed to web up two guns before they could fire was wild. And then Spider Man starts to make these lackeys look dumb as hell. Imagine fighting someone like this who is just trash talking you so bad and is so awkward and so fast. It's embarrassing. I've said this many times before, but the Spidey sense is the most powerful weapon Spider Man has. Then you add in his speed, Spider Man is just too much fun. See, I told you Spider Man just likes to have fun with these idiots. He's messing around. Spider Man doesn't take these fools seriously at all. Webbing up the door allows him to make a phone call. Spider Man shows these idiots there's levels to this game. And there's another example of how Stan Lee humanizes Spider Man, having him call Aunt May just to check in whilst he's in the middle of a battle with the mob. The mob finally breaks through and Spider Man pretends to give up. Give up, guys. He's too funny. This shows Peter is still the smartest guy in nearly every room. Setting up a trap for the goons is just too easy for Spider Man. Spider-Man's for real, comparing Lucky the Lobo, the mob boss, to a mouse threatening King Kong. I would feel the same way though. The way Spider-Man takes up this entire door frame, it's like he's a monster not letting his victims leave the room. It's a very cool image. Lucky kind of spills the beans a little too easy to Spider-Man for me. For a gangster who has a famous reputation for not talking, well, this guy's singing like a songbird to Spider-Man, letting him know Green Goblin's whole plot to take over the mob. So what's Spider-Man's counterplan? Lucky Lobo is going to have some serious shame to deal with after this. Not only did he rat to Spider-Man, but now he looks like a fool hanging from the ceiling like a baby in a swing. He's going to have to retire from the mob after this. This is the epitome of the relationship between Spider-Man and Green Goblin, playing Catch Me If You Can with this Green Goblin cheesing like a fool and talking trash right back to Spider-Man. That's what it's all about. Whoa, 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 Spider-Man, pause. Back in the day, Steve Ditko wasn't afraid to draw these sus moves by Spider-Man. It was a more innocent time back then, but come on. Spider-Man riding Green Goblin like the rodeo show? That's super sus. Fighting Green Goblin out in the open is too dangerous. Spider-Man needs to get the fight indoors in tighter quarters. The pumpkin bombs are nice, but they're no match for the speed and Spidey sense. The new glider upgrade is giving Spider-Man a little trouble though. The match is so well balanced. Green Goblin is sloppy, he's chaotic, he's tossing bombs willy-nilly. Spider-Man is too agile though, he's too accurate with his webbing. This is why the chase game is so fun to watch. Green Goblin always smiling is everything to me. This is yin and yang, the opposing colors. Everything Spider-Man is, Green Goblin is the opposite. So this frame, each character filling the space and the edges of the frame, the middle being void, is to show the reader the balance that these two characters have. We just learned in the last frame how Spider-Man and Green Goblin are perfect opposites. And now we enter this frame where Green Goblin is adamant about keeping his real identity a secret. And this is to show this element of the two characters are identical. keeping that real identity a secret is something that ties these two characters together in the same way. The glider has more juice than Spider-Man has web fluid, so it looks like Green Goblin won this game of tag today. The webbing not being organic really creates an element of danger for Spider-Man that flying superheroes just don't have. Knowing Spider-Man has a limitation and has a real danger by flipping around the tops of these buildings makes this character so appealing. Spider-Man gave it his all, but Green Goblin still got away, keeping the excitement alive for a rematch for later issues. The Green Goblin's plan was just too good. The cops arrested not only Lucky Lobo, but they arrested the whole gang. So Green Goblin is left where he started, as a solo operator. On a side note, that up close frame of Green Goblin has me feeling the kind of way. And how Steve Ditko drew that nose? Another frame to show Peter is no geek. He may be a nerd, but he's not a geek. Look at his outfit. Peter is super stylish. Foswell has Peter sweating bullets. Peter suspects that Foswell may know that Peter's Spider-Man, and that is how he's getting all them sweet pics. Peter gets Jameson's panties all in a twist for not having any new pictures to sell him, but then moves quickly into Peter's suave. Look at my guy's aura, smooth as butter with that arm resting on the cabinet. Spitting game to Betty. She's eating it up. Now look at Peter's stank face at Jameson for interrupting his game with Betty. And then shows he's as cool as the other side of the pillow, saying, "Girl, I'll call you when I call you." Peter is a real G, keeping a key eye on Foswell on his way out. A side note, we see a lot of the civilian men, especially those with unscrupulous morals, smoking. Like Foswell here, he's almost always shown smoking on a ciggy. Peter gets home to find Aunt May is not there. Is she missing? Bum, bum, bum. Psych, fake out. Everything is cool, which is a weird way for Stan Lee to end his comics. Normally, there's some sort of cliffhanger, but here we get Peter just chilling in his chair looking bored. In only 23 issues, look at the amazing universe of characters both Stan Lee and Steve Ditko have created. We don't see this level of creativity in modern comics. So big respect to those two guys for creating this amazing story and this amazing universe with all of these characters that we still love now. In the next issue, we see Spider-Man's gone mad. But how? I also notice the art for the covers in these latest issues are much more rich. The shading, the form, it's better. Stan and Steve realize the importance of having the face of the issue, the cover, be its marketing, and that needs to be bombastic. Hit the like button, subscribe. I'll see you real soon. Peace.